for repentance. Always hope in returning to Christ. That the repentance is a journey. It's not a one-time destination. We have to help them understand that it's okay to be embarrassed, but we don't want them to be shamed and horrified and get down on themselves, right? Because that way, then we are already losing them as far as their connection. And then the last thing is assure them that they will not be punished. That whatever we are going to decide together is not a punishment. Because the relation or the connection that they're going to make is, I spoke to my parents, I told them something sensitive and something embarrassing, and something tough, and here they are punishing me for it. I'm never going to do that again. فمعلش I know some of the things we may be used to the way we're raised, or maybe the way our parents raised us, obviously a little more tough. Depends on the household. I think I'm almost 50 years old, but I remember both my parents never hit at all. I was never spanked by my parents at all. Very different. I know it's unique, right? Pretty bizarre.
Never what?
I've never been spanked. Baba وماما عمرهم ما ضربوني. عمري في حياتي. صدقوا؟ I know. I was sorry. I didn't realize how advanced they were. And I'm like, then happened with my own kids. Who knows? Who knows my confessions? We all fall as parents, but you know, the thing is that we don't want to punish them if they're going to make themselves vulnerable. Otherwise, the conversations are never going to happen again, or they're going to be very, very limited. هيقولوا في مصايب مش في الحاجات بسيطة شوية أبدا. Right? So we just have to keep that in mind.
Robbie,
yes, sir.
did your parents have hands?
They did, and I didn't realize they were going until later, like until I had my own kids, and I realized my parents never hit. My parents never hit, and sometimes I should have been beaten up. I was a teenager one time. I grew up. I've been here in the U.S. since I was 6 years old, so I went through the whole motions of a lot of things that you both. So my parents, that's how they raised us. And I'm not saying that what you did was right or wrong. I'm not saying that what you're doing is right or wrong either. I'm just saying that that's their way of doing things with us. So steps to take. If your child has a device already, it's not too late. And if your child is still asking you for a device, and usually we talk about, and the reason why the reason why I'm mentioning this is it depends on the age of the children, right? If you have preteens, some of you probably still have not given them a cell phone yet, right? If you have teenagers, I think you've probably given them cell phones already, a device already, right? So this is for both. If you haven't given them the device yet, it's still okay, and you have to set the boundaries before you get them the device. And that's the best time, because they're willing to agree to anything just to get their phone. Right? They're willing to, you can tell them, I want you to study 5 hours a day for the phone, and that's okay. Right? So we not take advantage, but know the strategy, like chess. Know the strategy. If they haven't had the device yet, you can then begin to explain to them the same conversations that we've had, right? And I want to open it up to some of you. What are some ways you can talk to your child before they have the device? What are some ways that you can talk to them about? Help me. What is it? So the question is, they still haven't had the device yet. They're still going to get their cell phone. And you as a parent want to talk to them about the device and internet and using it. How would you start that conversation?
I use it. Why do you want the phone?
That's right.
What are you going to do with it?
Very good. Good open-ended questions. Why do you want it? What are you going to do with it? Right? Important also is to ask them, what do you know about it? What do you know about the internet and its uses? We don't want to offer information either. And if our kid still has no idea about the device and what happens, I want to tell them you can find bad images and people look at bad videos. But why am I going to do that? Why am I going to give them more information that they can go and search on it? And I mess things up that way, right? So I want to ask them, what do you know about it? Yes, I understand. Why do you want to use it? So you want to hear things when they respond to you. I want to use it to communicate with you, let you know where I am. I want to use it for school and homework. And you can tell them, there are some bad things. You don't tell them what it is. There are some bad things too. Have you heard about some of the bad things? What do you know about it? See what they tell you. And then that begins the conversation, and then you begin to set off the rules after that. You can tell them about what they know. Don't offer you information. Explain age-appropriate material. That there are some things meant for your age, and those are the things that we're going to focus on together. And of course, we can before you download anything, there are ways to set up your device so that the kids have to get approval from the parent, right? So there's also no screen time set aside. So for example, there will be times where you're not allowed to be on your phone. Dinner time, no phone. Prayer time, no phone, unless you're using Coptic reader, right? Liturgy in Sunday school, no phones. Okay? So get them used to the idea that there will be a time that the phone has to be down and away. Okay? So this is again before. And then how you will monitor is very important. You have to let them know before they get the device, I will be placing parental controls. We are doing this together. It's for your protection. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to, so whenever something comes up, I'm going to know that you're doing something. We're going to talk. We're going to have a conversation. But know that it's to protect you and because I love you. You have the conversations on the little. Okay? So that's before they have the device. Say your children are teenagers already, and some of you have already gotten the device. They've been using it now for a year or two. It's not too late. It's not too late. You have the conversations with them about why it has to be regulated and why it is regulated, and give examples. Most schools right now have either Chromebooks or iPads or something. And most schools have firewalls, most schools have restrictions, most schools have things that they cannot go on. So they're familiar with these restrictions, right? So that's your starting point. That, hey, at school, I know that they are limiting your access. I know that they have certain things. Why do you think, why are they doing that? Ask them the open-ended question. Let them respond. Take what they say and then build on what they say. And then maybe, hopefully you hear things about for health and safety. And of course, back in the day, there were, I don't know, not back in the day, still is, there's still predators out there, there's still sexual predators out there, there's still, deviants and things like that they're still around. So we have to also be careful with them. There's something around, I don't know if parents know this, there's something called phishing, there's something called catfishing, there's something, all these different things where people are trying to attract them to certain areas and certain things. And then the list that is social media. We still haven't gotten into the social media part yet. Okay? But that's also another topic. And then offer alternatives for them when you have a phone that you need to put down the phone for your own health. For example, I know we struggle a lot in the Jewish community with health. Personal firsthand. We struggle with maintaining health and healthy habits. We struggle with walks. We struggle with going outdoors. We struggle with playing sports. We struggle with things that encourage the kids to go outside. And as a community, we struggle with it, okay? But we want to encourage other alternatives. We want to encourage them to play with friends. We want to encourage sports, okay? But we also want to, if they say, I want to play this game with my friends, what is our response? What do you think? If they come to you with tough questions, what if they come and tell you, there's a game, I want to play this game with my friends. We chat online and want to play this game with my friends. What are options that you can say or do? It's a pitfall. You have to be careful, right? So what do you say and do? Those of you that have kids that are maybe in the teenage years or getting there, preteens, maybe you're allowing them to play games. What if they tell you, I want to play this video game with my friends online, all online, especially COVID did a good number on us. Yeah, I mean, a lot of things are online.
Even when they actually put in saying, why would they are playing elements getting, and you find that they are playing with strangers and not control.
Very good. So be involved. Tell them, show me. Show me an example. Believe it or not, YouTube is a great resource for parents. Because many times when they play these games, I don't know why they like it. They like to watch on YouTube others playing that game. I don't know what good experience. But at the same time, I think about it. I like to watch soccer on TV. I like to watch sports on TV sometimes. Maybe to them it's the same thing, and I would go crazy if I had to watch somebody playing a video game online. You can tell them, show me online what it's like. Show me what it's going to be, how it's going to go. Okay, but also, like you said, be very careful with setting the rules and saying if it doesn't look right. Be firm and say, I'm sorry, this doesn't sit well. But mom and dad, all my friends are doing it. You're going to leave me out. My world is ending.
I think there is an option with the joystick to hear what the conversation between him and his friends.
Mm-hmm.
So if he got not in his part, speak first in Samara.
Uh-huh.
So he can hear what is going on.
That's fine.
So here's what we can do as parents, a suggestion. It could be number one that you sit in the room while they play with their friends to ensure that, and they don't want to tell you your friends that you're there. You can sit and listen to the conversation because we also have to be careful that even among our Coptic community, some language is inappropriate. That happens. But they have to be able, you want to see their response to it. You want to see that they say, hey, let's not talk this way. Let's not forget, our origins, our roots, right? You also want to ensure that no other, that an adult that's like 35, 40 years old is not involved in the conversation. So you want to make sure you're looking for those things too. And if it meets those criteria, it's up to you, but you should be okay. If not, trust your parental instincts and say no. I'd rather say no and be wrong than say yes and be wrong. So, I'd rather be no and be wrong than say yes and be wrong about that. Okay? We spoke about this a little bit. Validate, meaning we validate their feelings, validate their emotions, that we understand together and we come up with rules together about what we're going to do with technology. And we sit together with our kids to come up with these rules and with these things. The last part is what do you do if your child is breaking your own rules and your own policies at home, right? And what do you do? If we're saying don't punish, then what am I going to do, right? We can say things, for example, take control of your emotions. Be careful with anger. Okay. Sometimes when something happens and you discover a rule is broken, and this is with anything, not necessarily with technology, but take a moment to just calm down. You can tell your child, I'm sorry, just give me 2 minutes. I just need a breather. Okay? And that's okay. Never
I
happened.
think it depends on the kid. Some kids make you very angry.
Yeah.
I have 3 kids. 2 of them, they are very peaceful. If you say no, that's it. But the third one is crazy. When I keep saying no, at the end, okay, give it to me. I think that the PlayStation is disgusting. I think the joystick and everything, no PlayStation for the whole day. Mom, please, okay, no way. But after 2 minutes, it's crazy. He made me crazy. But I have to control myself. No way.
Oh, and by the way, you're not alone. And there are times where we all get angry, we all yell, we all lose it. But the minute and even that term I just said, we lose it. What did we lose? When we say I've lost it,
Our calm,
our calm, peace, our control. The control of the situation now it's in the emotional section, and we say things, they say, I hate you, تبتدي بقى الحاجات اللي هي يعني كلام ملوش has nothing.
بيقول لي I hate you, go to another mountain.
فاحنا عايزين ايه؟ عايزين يعني what we mean to say is emotions are okay, but we want to bring it to something practical. فيعني it's okay if they get angry, it's okay if you get angry, but if you're going to have a serious conversation, ما ينفعش the yelling, ما ينفعش you're going to have to eventually, sooner or later, you're going to have to have it. فبس ان احنا ايه we keep control as much as possible, then we go back and talk to them about it whenever that happens. Consult with the wise. And what I mean by the wise is each other. And if some of you know a family or parents that have teenagers, right, and your kids are still younger, and you call them up, like, Jackie, this happened. Did this ever happen to you with your son or daughter? What did you do? They'll share with you ideas. Yeah, it happened once or twice, and this is what we did, and this is how we did it, and this is how we resolved it. Believe it or not, if you take that and that advice and try it, it might work actually. So talk to each other, but it has to be somebody trusted. Because whenever we talk about kids, and whenever we talk about our kids, it doesn't bother me, right? And be careful who you're talking to your kids about for their sake, right? And that's just good practice as parents. But find that person that you look up to, that family that you look up to, the one that you think has a perfect life and the perfect children, which is difficult, but at least you can talk to them. They'll share with you the reality and the possibilities. Short-term consequences, meaning that they don't understand. I'm going to take your device for 1 month. Yeah, they will not understand that. Short-term, immediate, something that they can deal with in that within a good sense of time. 1 day is tough too for them. Remember, this is you take away my phone for 1 day, I am dying.
I did that thing one time in the beginning of the school with my son. Honestly, it started like, Mom, I want a vacation. I'm being serious. No. Oh my God, what's wrong with you? This is not your life. You have many stuff to do with. Mom, please. Give me like a few hours and then we can see. It's crazy.
Yeah, but it's and again to them, and their world is much more limited than ours. So when we take away something that takes a big role in their life, it is a big deal for them. And we may not see it as a big deal, but for them it is. So we have to be reasonable with our consequences. And for a month, I'm taking away your phone.
Hey, can I share something very quick? يعني حاجة احنا عملناها نفع شوية، لما تاخدي حاجة منهم لازم لازم تسجست something. يعني مثلا هو يعني لو هو بيحب مثلا يلعب بيس، اوكي، like chords, chess، اي حاجه زي كده، تقولي له مش هيبقى في كده بس تعالى هلعب معاك. they want to be with us. بس هو الجيم ساعات بتبقى يعني I found that this sometimes works. Not all the time. But sometimes it works that okay هنبطل الجيم شوية علشان نرجع بقى calm كده يعني explain it from the safety point of view وتعالى نعمل حاجة سوا. نفس الحاجة يعني the girls مثلا يحبوا يطبخوا، يحبوا يعملوا حاجة في المطبخ، تعالى هنعمل كده بلاش التليفون شوية كده يعني find something instead of just saying no the punishment is I'm gonna take it away. يعني اوكي احنا بلاش حكايه البانشمنت دي بس اوكي احنا هنبطل دي شويه بس تعالى هنعمل كده نعمل حاجه ثانيه بدل. At least that's
family game nights. Let's play cards together. Let's do whatever. Let's all go for a family walk. Okay? These are all things that can help. And remember that it's not a punishment. Don't say this is your punishment. This is what's happening, and so we want to stay away from that wording. Do not feel bad about enforcing the rules. واحد زي I can't stand to see anybody cry. Okay, fine, here, take it. But we have to be firm with it, right? Especially because this is not for the protection, not necessarily for my feelings, right? So I'm willing to sacrifice my feelings in order to enforce it. And then finally, keep trust in the relationship. Okay? And that means which is focus on why the rule is in place and what happened, and that's that's the reason why we're talking about this, not necessarily that it's a punishment or that I hate you or I want to ruin your life. That's not it. So these are just some of the suggestions before we get into Pavli's part, where he's going to talk to you a little bit more about how to find some of these things, how to look inside the devices, what to look for, some of the other parts. Because if you do discover something, remember, number one thing is what? Stay calm. Stay calm. Number one thing, stay calm so that you can think about how you're going to approach it. And number two, or maybe number one, pray. Pray. And as parents, we have, we pray for each other, we pray for our kids, we pray, God, give me the words. What do I say? What do I say? And that's also very, very important that you're calm so you can have this conversation. Okay?
So we're going to go over some of the options that you have built in your phone for how to navigate this whole thing. So, which one you said it was? Service Center. So the parental controls, just a show of hands, who here, you have iPhones and your kids have iPhones? So, here's an Android, the kid has an Android. So this starts mainly if the whole family has iPhones, but all the tools they do the same things and they're just different apps. So this slideshow, I'm going to send it to the organizers, and it has links to all the different tools. Okay, so the first thing you do with certain things on the phone is the things you block. So you have three categories. You have the first one is the things you block. The second one are the things that you limit. And then the third category is the things that you kind of have to there has to be some trust between you and the kids because of the limitations of the phone. Okay. So the first category is the blocking. And that, the phone is apps and websites. So for apps, to block an app is, okay, you don't want that, like TikTok, for example, God forbid any of the youth has TikTok or any of those short form videos, but like some apps should just not be on the phone. And the way to do that is you delete the app and then you add a permission on the phone that for any app to be downloaded, mama and baba get a notification like, you know, my son wants to download this app. You allow, accept or not. So that's for apps. For websites that you want to block, there's two things that you can do. On the phone, when you're setting up the permissions that I'm going to go over after the slides, like specific, like exactly what you put. But for websites, there's two things that you can do. The first thing is, okay, the phone can automatically detect websites that are harmful, and so it'll just block them. It'll take care of most stuff. But say, for example, there's websites that you don't want the kids to have access to on their browser, whatever it may, like Facebook, or like, if they're going to try to use Instagram on the browser, or like one parent was telling me, like, I don't want them to do their school stuff on their phone, so for those stuff, you can, there's a way to enter certain websites, and so they can't access those websites. So that's the first category of blocking. The second category is moderating, or putting limits. And again, that falls into two categories. There is time-based stuff, and then there is limits to stuff. So time-based is like, okay, the phone can only be used between these certain hours. And after these certain hours, the phone is very limited in what it can do. It can do stuff like call mama and baba, or like call certain contacts on your phone, but it can't access the apps, it can't do the regular stuff, only the stuff that you allow. The second one is app limits. So for example, you get only 30 minutes, or you get only 50 minutes of this app and this app and this app. And you can even categorize them. So like all social media apps, you get a total of 30 minutes of all social media. Okay? If you need me to switch to Arabic, let me know. Okay, so that's the second category. And the third category is the stuff where I said like there has to be some trust. Why? Because kids are still smart, and like you can try to do everything. They'll like they find ways, right? So websites, you can monitor website data. You can monitor, okay, which websites they went to and how much time they spent on each website. You can do all of that stuff. Kids are smart, and sometimes there's ways. So that's why like you set up everything, and that'll give you a peace of mind. But just websites are always just hard because like everything is available on some other website that's not detected by the certain filters that you set up, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is location sharing. So by default, when you set up all this stuff, all the devices on that account, you share the location between them. But for domestic abuse purposes, Apple doesn't let you like disable them from disabling the location. Like you can set up the location, but the kid can go in and like they can disable the location of their phone, so you can't see them. And the reason is why, for domestic abuse purposes, like, you know, yes. Yes. So في حاجات لازم تكون يعني some trust between you and والولد أو البنت. ليه؟ لأن يعني مهما هنعمل ومهما هنسطب يعني في طرق كثيرة إن الأولاد يعني يقدروا يوصلوا الحاجات دي. فده بالنسبة للويب سايتس يعني، لأن يعني يمكن تدخلي كل الويب سايتس، ما يدخلش على فيسبوك، ما يدخلش على تويتر، ما يدخلش على تيك توك، do all that stuff. بس المشكلة إن يعني we don't know all the websites. يعني I don't know كل الويب سايتس اللي فيها مشاكل، صح؟ So the one thing you do is okay لازم ندخل ونشوف okay هم راحوا على الويب سايت ده عملوا كده ايه، okay لازم نشوف الويب سايت ده بيعمل ايه. So دي الحاجات كلها دي ممكن نشوفها في السيتنجز بتاعت البيرنتال كنترولز. والحاجه الثانيه is اللوكيشن شير. So ده لما انا اعرف اللوكيشن بتاع التليفون بتاع بنتي او ابني، التليفون فين. المشكله في ده ان احنا نسطبه وكل حاجه، المشكله يعني especially لو الولاد كبار مش عايزين يخرجوا لوحدهم مع اصحابهم، مش عارفين، مش عايزيننا نعرف هم فين. المشكله ان ما ينفعش ان احنا always to have control over that. Why? Because for I don't know what domestic abuse is in Arabic. Yes. So for that reason you can't disable يعني التليفون ما ينفعش نشيل الحاجة دي. بس again that's like for like kids who are like very tech savvy and like I'm speaking because I'm into that stuff like my parents never set up that stuff, but like even if they did I probably knew how to so but also we didn't have all these tools back then. Okay, so the three categories we said are block and limit and the trust base. Okay, I'm gonna switch to the practical, but in this slideshow I also have some other resources of other stuff. So some other stuff besides tracking from if you're familiar with the Find My app or the Google Maps app, those two you can share location. There are some other apps that offer some other stuff like Family Link and Live 360. They also tell you like okay how fast they're driving, where are the locations they went to, and all this stuff. And all these apps, they're so this is Apple, these two are Google, and this one is any platform like Live 360. Yes. Yeah. So this is the only one that's paid, but they have a free option that has a lot of the important stuff. Okay. So that's a good question. So one of the things with the blocking is you can disable them from deleting apps on their phone. Right? So you can let them download apps, you give them access, but you can also disable them deleting certain apps. Like, I don't want you to delete Live 360 from the phone. Like, that's it. I don't want you to delete Spirit and Truth and Coptic Reader from the phone. Okay? Like, there are apps that you can't leave the phone. Okay? And to Uncle and Tanta, we're talking about like the gaming consoles and like, I take away the stuff and they keep screaming. You can, there is options for parental control on almost any device. Xbox, PlayStation, the Nintendo Switch, like gaming PCs, like anything can have moderation on it. So I have here also some links and both of these they have apps that you download on your phone, and as long as بتوصلها بالdevice بتاع الولد or bent, you can see which games they're playing. You can set limits on the device. You can be like, okay, we're done for the day. Turn off the device. So there's options for that as well. Some other options that I've heard from parents is okay when like I want to block certain websites on my Wi-Fi at home. So these are network routers. So like and that stuff becomes the Wi-Fi. Not the problem. Kids are smart. The way to get around this, I'm just going to use my cellular data. If I know my Wi-Fi at home or the Wi-Fi at school is blocking certain stuff, turn off the Wi-Fi, switch to cellular data. But again, these are still options because iPads, for example, most iPads don't have cellular, so they're only connected to the home Wi-Fi. Yes, sir.
Wait, what do you mean by turn off the Wi-Fi? So you use the Wi-Fi or the mobile?
Okay, so what I mean by Wi-Fi is okay. دلوقتي انا في البيت والتليفون بتاعي متوصل بالواي فاي بتاع البيت. اوكي بس انا تخيل انا عندي 13 سنه and I see mama and baba they blocked this website on the Wi-Fi. So what do? I turn off my Wi-Fi and I'm using like my AT&T or my cellular data instead. Yeah, the resource.
Wi-Fi blocking and device blocking?
Oh yes, okay. So Wi-Fi level blocking is okay. The phone when it's trying to reach the internet, okay, it checks and it sees like, okay, I'm typing in Facebook. But when it connects to the Wi-Fi has a layer where it's like, oh, some device is trying to connect to Facebook, and it just returns error to the phone. So it blocks it at the Wi-Fi level. But the other level that we discussed earlier with the blocking is you type in the website on the phone itself, and the phone itself can't even reach that website before it even reaches the Wi-Fi. And the reason why I mentioned this is, again, there were parents that asked for this because, like, you know, if they don't want to control every single device, they can just do it on the Wi-Fi level. Okay? And then I have some other resources here. So Instagram was another question. It's like, my kids are on Instagram, I have no idea what's happening, I have no idea what they're following. There's options for that. Like, you set it up, even if it's a new device or if it's a new account, or even an existing account, there's ways for everything. Another tool I learned about was called Custodio. It's a whole parental control suites for any device, like put on Windows, on Mac, on iOS, on Android. It's for everything, to manage everything. Again, that's subscriptions. Okay. So any question on like the theoretical? I'm gonna jump now to the settings app to kind of show you the options. Is this too small? I can try to make it bigger. Too small? Is that better?
Yeah.
Better? All right. If I skip over something too quickly, please stop. Okay. So here's what I've done here. So the way to do this, if the whole family is using Apple devices, there's a built-in in the settings app. There's something called family sharing, and family sharing appears right like in the settings app, right under your account. There's a family section here it's usually not set up, but I know a lot of families have it set up, but it would be a button right here. And here I have myself, I have my wife, and then I don't have a baby, but I created it like a baby account just to show what it would look like. Okay. So once you set that up, and when you're setting up, you actually get a lot of little options when you're setting up to tell you like, okay, how old is this youth? What do you want them to have access to? Should we enable this? Should we disable this? All of that is happening when you're setting up that account. Okay. But then even after you set up, there's even more options that you can tinker around with. So again, in settings app and family, I'm going to choose the child that I want to look at their data. Okay. So clicking here, and the first thing I see here is the screen time. So this lets me monitor. This lets me show كل applications in the telephone استخدموا. How long did they stay? So this device doesn't have a test account that doesn't have any data, so I'm gonna jump to like my iPad data, for example. So you can see here it tells me, I've spent 3 hours on Tuesday, 5 hours, but it even goes deeper than that. So if you go, you can break it down by week or by day, and you can see like, oh, Safari was an hour, settings was whatever, messages, so it breaks it down by app. And Safari is general, but even if you scroll down, it tells you what each website is on. So like, for example, here, like X, like Twitter, it tells you this app, this website, they were on it for that amount of time, okay? And then at least it even lets you add a limit from, like, you see there's a problem, okay, you need to add a limit to that website, okay? So that's what the screen time looks like. The other options you have here, well, kind of an important one is I don't want them to have certain apps on their phone, so what am I going to do? They have to ask for permission to download certain apps. لازم يبعت لي notification على التليفون بتاعي أنا كأب أو يسألني عايز your son or your daughter wants to download the application there, yes or no? You get this notification on your phone. So that's this one here. That's the ask to buy here. So that's purchase approval required. And it's very simple. It's yes or no. Should they get it? Should you get a notification or not? Okay, that's all good. Huh? This is so the main thing of the talk is to discuss what your phone has already before having to download any other stuff. Okay, this is all stuff built in your phone. You don't have to this is all free stuff, right? The 360 just adds more stuff. So like I said, it tells you where the phone has been, how fast they were going. What else does 360 have?
It tells you what time they left the home and what time they arrived.
Does it send them a notification or permission?
Everybody in the family can see everybody they're
Yeah.
driving and stuff. So the problem with Life 360, if you want to explain like how they can do stuff like that, but it's a third party app. It's not built into the phone. You have to download it. Everybody in the family has to download it, and everybody can see everybody else. And if the kids want, they can remove it. They can delete it.
And that's my question.
Yeah.
I don't want to breach anything because mine are adults. And
Yeah.
for my sake, my sanity.
Yeah.
I just want to see that they should give it a permission. Okay.
Yes.
I use it with my parents.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm 27.
We share everything, but I don't know about this 360.
Yes. Yeah, the 360 just adds more stuff.
Yeah.
But it's again, like the Matthew said, it's a separate app. Okay? Right. So we've discussed screen time, we've discussed the permission to download apps. Okay, some more stuff here. Downtime. So when you're setting up also, you have to enter a password for screen time on their phone, and that way they can go in and change their settings. You put in a password, and ideally they shouldn't know it, right? So you put in a password, so anytime you go into the screen time page, it asks for the password to change any settings. Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
this passcode you added when you do the setting from the families settings, or you have to have their device to do it?
So you can do it both ways. So if you're setting up a new account on the device, you can do that from your phone. But if you're adding the youth to your account, and if they're especially older, it might not let you do it from your device. So you have to actually go on their phone and set up a password for screen time. And the password is it's this one here. So
Separate from their device.
separate from separate from the phone password. Okay, this is the password that you know. Okay. Okay, so downtime is the phone is not to be used between this hour and this hour. Yes.
Can you slow down and show them again how to access?
Yes. Okay, so that's the family option, right? So your youth is yes. Yeah. So because it's an adult, that's why. Yes, it's because it's because it's an adult. Yeah. So there is a way to change the child if you remove her and add her again, but it's gonna ask you, is this person an adult or a child? And if the child, you're able to see and control that stuff. Okay? Yeah.
أنا عندي سؤال.
Yes.
أنا عيالي بيستعملوا تليفون أنا.
They use your phone.
Yes. هعرف إزاي اللي يشوفوا نفس الحاجات دي هستعملها في تليفوني وأقدر أعرف بعد كده لما آخد التليفون أعرف هما شافوا إيه.
Yes. So that's the in the settings here. You scroll down to screen time here. That lets you see what this device here saw, not my kid, the specific device. So you can see okay, you went on Google and you went on this, but you don't recognize this app or this app, so you can tell who visited what. Okay.
وبيدي برضه الاوقات بيدي كل حاجه زي الحاجات اللي هو وراها على البيبي بيديها لك برضه من السكرين تايم على نفسك انت على تليفونك انت بس مش بالطريقه دي زي ما هو قال تروحي على السكرين تايم تدوسي عليه وهيديكي برضه الاوقات من وقت كام لكام واستعمل اب ايه.
So you choose the day, for example. Okay, I'm gonna go to today. That's today, for example. Okay, this iPad went on Safari, you went on settings, you went on messages. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing we're going over is downtime. So downtime is the phone has limit. The phone is to only be used between 11 p.m. for example and 6 a.m. And between those hours, the phone is very limited in what it can do, and you can decide between that time, the phone is only for like calling, and you can even choose. Okay, calling only certain people, like calling the favorites or calling mom, baba. You can choose the contacts that it can do. Okay, and you can schedule. So you choose between like the specific date even. Like for example, if it's more lax on the weekend, if on the weekend عايزين you left them يستخدم التليفون أزيد شوية, you can choose per day between, for example, like you can choose all the time, choose whatever time. Okay, that makes sense. And you also have the option like, okay, like they messed up and they no phone for the rest of the day, and you have a button right here to just sorry, not that one. I'll find the button. But there's it's this one here. So like there's they messed up, no phone, you click this button, and the phone goes into disabled mode for the rest of the day. So turn on downtime until tomorrow, no more phone for today. Okay? And then block at downtime is like the phone basically is useless at down, they can't do anything. Okay? So I think that next week there is helping the parents set up all the specific stuff. So I think they're going to encourage you to bring your kids' devices, like iPad for example, and you should like think around, just click, see what this does, and see if this is how you want it. And also under each of these features, it tells you exactly what this button does. So this button, okay, downtime will be turned on until midnight. Okay, this button explains, okay, this is for schedule. Okay, so reading the stuff in the gray is very helpful if you're confused. Okay? All right. The second one is app limits. So we said there's blocking stuff, which we kind of covered with the downtime, but there's more stuff that you can do. But you can even set up app limits for the apps, for certain apps. So, for example, I decided all social media on the phone gets 30 minutes per day. So you click social media here. This device doesn't have. You click social media here, and then you pick how many minutes or how many hours should this category of apps get. All of social media together. Okay?
بتقول
What's the problem?
بتقول يعني
This is
على
so
أيام
unfair. I mean, where was this?
Where was the phone? Where was the phone?
He's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
We tried it the hard way.
Yeah. Okay, so app limits, you can set specific apps, or you can just category of apps. You can say Facebook gets 15 minutes, or all of social media together gets 15 minutes. Okay? All right. Always allowed is, no matter what, these things on the phone can be disabled. For example, the phone app can be disabled. You can't even remove it. The phone app, they need to be always to be able to call mama and baba. And then we can choose who are the always allowed contacts. It can be everyone on the phone, or you can pick specific contacts. This device, this test doesn't have any, so that's why it's giving this error. But that's for at all times, the phone should be able to call mom and papa. Okay? And then you can also choose some other apps like messages should stay on the phone. And again, it respects the same rules from earlier, the allowed contacts. Okay? That's the always allowed. Any question?
أنا عندي سؤال.
Yes.
مش عارفة يمكن غريب شوية. هل أنا أقدر أحط وقت مثلا أنظر نص ساعة تشوفوا يوتيوب؟
Yes.
وأنا نسيت النص ساعة دي وعدت.
Yes.
هل أنا أقدر أعمل حاجة من غير ما هم يعرفوا إن تقفل النص بعد الساعة تتقفل؟
Yes. So what happens when you set up the app limit here? Once the 30-minute hits, it blocks the app. And for them to get back in the app, it has to enter the password that you set up earlier, the screen time password. Okay, and he even gives them like a little warning, like you only have, I can't remember, I think it's a 1 minute. Tells you there's 1 minute left in the app. So and then they can't get back unless they enter that password. So you can give them the phone, and then as long as you have that set up, it's fine. Yeah. Okay. All right. The next, yes.
The apps we can monitor the kids, we can see where they are going, like 360.
Yes.
Because we have like this all the information for kids with the R or they are doing now. There's any way anybody can have this app and see all the information about us. They know where the kids are, our home address.
Oh, like CatQ.
Yeah.
No, like these companies, yeah, I mean, if these companies were hacked, yeah, they wouldn't stay a company. If something happened to them, yeah.
So it means this one safe.
Yeah.
All the information, I don't want anybody gonna follow my son.
Of course.
He's in the college now.
Yes.
And I always see where he is in the building.
Yes.
Somewhere else. There's nobody else can see that.
Now, only the allowed users on the account.
90% of the hacks are actually not people hacking the company, but they are people tricking the parents to giving away the password or to getting into the parents' phone. That's 90% of the hacks. Very, very rarely can someone hack a big company like this. So the most important thing is for the parents to be careful. If someone, you get a weird email or somebody calls you and says,
Some messages.
Yeah. exactly, that's the thing you have to worry about.
That's what Rami was describing with phishing. That's what phishing is like. It starts with PH. That's when they send you get an email from Apple and it says, you need to change your password, and you click that. I mean, my own parents fell into that before, right? So yeah, just be very careful with that stuff. Okay, the next thing is maybe we'll skip this one. We'll leave it for the end. But the next important thing is now all the small details with apps and websites and like that. So so go back here. Under content and privacy, when you go into the iTunes and App Store purchases, you now have control. Are they allowed to install apps? Yes or no? Are they allowed to delete apps off the phone? Yes or no? Are they allowed to purchase apps inside of a game, for example? Yes or no? That's these three here. And then you can even disable them from changing their phone password. So that's not this one. That's at the bottom. You can disable the phone from changing its own password. They have to get your approval to change the password. Okay? You can disable certain core features like the stuff that's in the phone itself. Like I know parents are like, no Safari on the phone because it's too wild and you can't really get so much into detail. So no Safari on the phone, and you can only have apps like Google Drive, for example, stuff like that. Okay? This one is for the web. So if you are going to use Safari or Chrome and stuff like that, you can disable websites, certain websites. You can also have it be in a restricted mode where if it detects this is a harmful website, the phone will just disable it. But you can also, if you scroll down here, you can say there's websites that always need to be allowed, or there's websites that should never be allowed. So and the never allowed, I enter TikTok.com, never allowed on the phone. Okay? That's it.
If you go back to that screen that you had, one of the things that's very helpful is the age. We go up there where it says PG for movies, TV shows PG. This is where you set what level you want them to be able to view these items, and the apps. It's also very important.
Yeah.
So the app is for the adult will be 17 plus. But if it's for teenagers, the 12 plus, you still have to be careful. When I was a kid, PG-13 was very different than what it is now.
Sure.
Right. So yes.
I think we're wrapping up here, but like I was saying earlier, you can disable them from turning off the password on the phone or changing the password. So that's this one here, the passcode and face ID.
Is any way to control even the ads coming within the videos?
Yes.
One day I remember when my son was like 3 or 4 years, he was watching videos for kids.
Yeah.
But during this one, I saw an ad, oh my God, sexual.
Yeah.
How can you control?
I've done that.
It's
Yeah.
right for kids, but
Yeah. I've done that question before, and it's unless like you decide like okay, no YouTube, or like you have to get basically the YouTube Premium where there's no ads. It's a really hard problem.
my son told me before, if you want to control this one, but you have to pay.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. You have to get the YouTube Premium where there's no ads.
Ah.
So yeah, ads are terrible. So I
And
mean,
they always, when they are kids, you're targeting them with very bad ads. No?
Yeah.
For me, it's always like ads for purchase something.
yes,
It's like nothing, it's a regular thing.
Yeah.
For kids, I found him put like some videos. One day, I think he got like a video about how to be from birth to divorce.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I remember that.
Wow.
It's something so bad.
yeah,
And I told him, okay, stop this one right now.
yeah.
But I couldn't do it for the whole time.
The other thing, like I'll try to explain this quickly, but how ads work actually is that way. So you as a mom, you're on the Wi-Fi and you're looking up something. You're looking up something on Amazon, for example. Your data gets sent out on the Wi-Fi, right? When it comes back, when that data comes back, it doesn't know which device to send it to. So it sends it to all the devices on the network, right? So that's why ads are hard to, unless you just like you pay whatever they need and to disable the ads. So.
And it could be something innocent. It could be online shopping.
Yeah.
You're shopping for something. Then they'll send you an ad for underwear or something. They show up on this is all you did was you were shopping online. Then they just sent you the ad. So what we're probably saying is like sometimes you search. I mean, I can't tell you how many times you can say a word, and then Facebook all of a sudden will come up with talk about a restaurant.
And all the companies they share the same ad data.
One day, I remember when I was talking to my husband,
Yeah.
I was walking the street, I see Mercedes car. I'm not exclusive car. But see this car, I love it. This Mercedes, but I didn't mention that which one.
Yeah.
At the same day, when I opened the Facebook, I found the same car, the same the one and the same color. I like it. Oh my God.
So so like that's what I'm saying. Like for example, if one of your kids or your husband looked up the car on their phone and
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
If you switch it out, it's okay.
Yeah, but that can be bigger. Oh, I see. Yeah.
I didn't switch because I don't know anything about
Yes.
this Mercedes. But I really need that the Mercedes one with the specific one and the same color. Oh
Yes.
my God, there's somebody walking behind me. What's up? Yeah, you respect privacy.
Yeah.
No privacy in this country. No way.
Absolutely.
We're naked everywhere.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Michael, when you go grocery shopping and you use your credit card to purchase, or you type in your frequent your shopper,
Yeah.
all that data gets stored in the target advertisements for the free coupons for you of stuff you bought before. They sell the information. It's a business. Selling information is.
There's a famous story about a woman that went shopping at Target. This is when this whole like studying customers started.
2010.
2010. The lady goes shopping at Target, and
She's young. She's in high school.
wow. So yeah, she goes shopping at Target. Target from her purchases sent her ads for baby products. She discovered later that she's pregnant. So what they did was they learned from her purchases that she's likely a pregnant woman, sent her ads for baby products. before she knew she was pregnant. Yeah, so like, yeah. And
And
the-
she knows from college she's pregnant.
Yeah. So how apps work is like they see what you're shopping, they compare you to other people who look at the same stuff and they're like, okay, likely she's gonna want this other thing later. So they send you ads for it. Okay, so ads are very smart. Like
I think it's the end of it.
yeah. I was listening, I was reading a book and it's saying like people in Silicon Valley that make all these apps, they're not programming apps, they're programming people. Like they study how to increase taps in the app. For example, Facebook, long ago, they used to have the notification bell. When it shows you the number, it used to be blue. And then they tested with red, and they're like, the data is just like shut up of like red, distracts attention, people want to click. So they study people very well. So I think that's everything I want to cover, and there's a lot more important like settings you can change, but I covered like the core ones that I think would be helpful for most parents. Robbie. Yes.
I have one question for you and one for Robbie.
Yes.
When we've tried to put time limits on the kids' iPads, usually it's just a notification that comes up. The kids will say okay, and they're able to keep watching. What are we doing wrong?
You probably need to add the password for screen time, because if they get the screen limit without the password, they can just say like, give me 5 more minutes, give me 5 more minutes. But with the password, they can't extend it. That's probably what it is.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
And then for Robbie, when you're saying do not punish, is this different than consequencing? Because we do believe in consequencing our kids when they break the rules.
Yes, so when I say punish, there are consequences, and consequences are okay. And what I mean by consequences is consequences can be positive and negative, right? Because they're responses. When we say punish, when I say punish, I'm talking about, like you did this, so I'm gonna take this from you. There's a power struggle. There is a difference in like control as opposed to something neutral. A consequence can be, we have the rule, and we have the rule for a reason. When we spoke about why it's important, you broke this rule. Why did you break it? We have the conversation. To me, it's more important to figure out why they broke the rule than to punish them for. Okay, once we find out why everything, we say, this is not the way to do it. So in order for us to have a little bit of control, to show that we can control ourselves, let's set this aside for an hour. We'll use this for an hour. But come, let's go do something else. So it is a consequence of them breaking the rule, but I'm not punishing them. I'm not, and that's it. It's a fine line. It's because they're going to be programmed that if they do something wrong, they're going to be punished for it. And sometimes too, if they make a mistake, because we also don't want them to fear anything, right? So sometimes there are kids that are in such modes of fear of being punished. Those things can become recluses. They're afraid to step outside. They're afraid to go walk with their friends or something like that. We also don't want to scare them into complying. So a consequence is one that is done out of love and for growth. A punishment usually is like jail. Jail is a punishment. Like it's you did this, so there you go. So that's what I mean by it. The consequences, not a problem. You can take the device away. You can limit their use of it. You can tell them, okay, like for example, if you don't study for a test, you get a C or a D or a fail. That's a consequence, right? But is it a punishment? Well, it can be, but we want to talk about how do you not get that C, D, or F later on. So then it becomes, if you do this, there's going to be a consequence attached to it. Sometimes this consequence is positive, sometimes it's negative. If you break the rule, there's going to be some negative consequence. We're gonna take away the device from them. You have to show and you have to build the trust again. We have to talk about how you're gonna use it. And it involves more talking because punishment is usually go to timeout, go to your room, do something where there's I call it, there's that's really, it's a little bit better in Arabic, في عقاب وفي تأديب. Discipline versus.
I agree with you, of course, but when we talk about consequences, your way, that's consequences for me as a parent because you are asking endless energy from me. Like I'm stopping something, I have to redirect the attention to another thing. I have this energy 24/7. And sometimes God wants us to say yes without understanding the purpose of this. So sometimes as a parent, just because, and get out of my face now. So how do you balance and to be realistic? Yeah, sometimes you do have this energy and but other times you don't.
Good point. I like to use guilt. And I'll say guilt by saying this. We are sometimes more patient with strangers than we are with our kids. At work, in other situations, with family, God forgive me, I know what you mean, I do. But I sometimes practice patience with my coworkers more than I do with my kids. So it is, and it's hard, and it takes an effort. And if we're not going to do that for our kids, who else would we do it for? Sometimes, yes, it is easy to just say, just because, especially when they're younger. And just because they'll accept it up until about age 6. Age 7, why? And it's not because they want to know you, they genuinely want to know more. The second we're not patient. And the reason why I say that is because there are going to be trials and tribulations, especially during the teenage years. Guaranteed. And this is, we all go through it, we've all been through it. If you still have younger kids, thank God, enjoy the time. Teenage years are a storm. Okay? We have to be patient with our kids. We have to. It's the same thing with service, by the way. How many of you here are servants in the church? Right? How many times or how patient are we with the kids that we serve? How often, if that child is going away far away from the church, how many efforts, how many times, how many calls are we going to make? How many trips are we going to take them on? How many we need to do more and more and more for them, but also the same for our kids. And that's something that is hard, because we need to give ourselves. And if you happen to slip, and if you happen to be, واحد طلع عينه في الشغل ولسه راجع now he's dealing with or she's dealing with something, we need to give ourselves grace too, that we are doing the best job that we can as parents. ومعلش لو قعدنا, okay, it's okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to give me just a few minutes or let's talk. Okay, that I know it takes a lot more effort because it is very easy to just say just because I said so. And because also at the same time, when they're teenagers, you're going to start seeing the power struggles start more and more. And my daughter is 19, my son is 16. Soon, well, she's a young lady. Oh, he's a man. But I have to be able to talk to him. It's no longer going to work just because. And it pays off. It's an investment. It pays off. It does. But sometimes, don't worry. I fall sometimes. I'm like, Habibi, please, just leave me alone. Just stop. Anytime. Or I can't take this. I need to go out. It happens. It's okay. But jump back. When we sit and we think about it,
After like an hour arguing, Habibi, you can't do that. Why? Because. Why? Because of. But if fish, not fish.
That's okay. After an hour, Abuna can give you help. Yes, it's okay to tell them خلاص.
I don't think she takes an hour, trust me.
After an hour, if you get to a point of maybe, look, we're not seeing eye to eye on this, but I believe very, very strongly about it, and I'm not.
Like 2 days ago, my son asked me to go and have dated with a friend from school. And who was this guy? Who was this boy? Yeah, like a labo. No. Okay. You're not going to this boy because his mom is supporting us. Okay, that's it. No, I'm being serious. What? Yes, I'm being serious because she's supporting this lady. This is not our way, mom. Okay, let me tell you, she's doing what? 1, 2, 3. Oh, really? Yes. Okay, I'll not talk to her.
Very good. You did a good chess move.
No, I'm being serious. لا انت لازم يفهم حتى الولد was starting to speak to them about this lady in the school and after 3 days. No. I told him. I told him stop talking about this lady. We don't care about your weight. Okay, this is not the place to talk about who's going to be the president next this election. Okay, stop.
So that's one way to do it, right? Another way, what if you have your son or daughter that tells you, I want to go to so-and-so's house and play with them. What's another way to do it? Yeah, no problem. But bring them over, they're going to come under our supervision. Sometimes, believe it or not, that little boy that could be from supporting Harris or whatever, we're not going to get political, but they can actually benefit by hanging out with your child and being with your child. They can actually be a better person as a result of it. So sometimes, you can have them over in your house with your rules, with your ways of doing things. Because that is dangerous. And we're going to get into later on too, like another topic can be sleepovers and things like that. These are things to be careful with, especially as teenagers, right? These are other things. But if you want them, to come and hang out, that's fine. Because sometimes too, they say, and friends are very, very important because they say oftentimes that if the friends of that boy or girl are the true reflection of who they will become. So if that boy or girl wants to come over to your house and you're able to shape them, you're going to be raising actually 2 kids, which is great. And it's a crown, right? It's not a cross, it's a crown. But if you send your child out a lot, often, they're going to be influenced by that family, that household, their way of doing things. Okay? And there are some good kids that are not popular. Right? I mean, our son has a popular friend. We don't say no, but we know the family. Right? We know who they are. But sometimes too, like that, can they come and hang out? Of course, yes. During the summer, yeah. Long and watch a movie. I can sit with them and watch a movie together. I'll do that. Right? It's okay. And that influences them. If those friends curse, by the way, cursing the language outside, it's like water. The fish the calls, right? That helps them stop because they're like, oh, wait, you don't say these things, you don't use these things. So they'll start stopping because of the influence that they have. So then there's many ways you can do that too. You can say, hey. But that can, where Hawaii was talking about, we can get him in trouble, meaning that sometimes in schools, it'll come off as being intolerant, and that can cause some problems. Even if a child, for example, I heard even in Coptic schools, even if a child speaks against a gay marriage or whatever it is, in a Catholic school, they can be like, oh, you're anti-gay, you're shagging, principle. This is the world that we live in. فيعني be strategic. This time it worked. Next time we can go, how we come here. We're gonna do this together. This is what you guys are gonna do. And, all these things can actually work for your benefit. And you're not saying no, because many times as parents, we feel, especially if there's always the strict parent and the not strict parent, right? So the strict parent suffers from the no syndrome because they're always saying no, 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 no. So it gives you a chance, if you're the strict parent, to actually say yes, but we're going to do it this way. That can also help. So, play with your phones, play with your devices, find out more, especially what Ugly shared. Find out how to go on certain things. Don't worry. Just if you do set passwords, make sure you remember the passwords. Okay? Don't forget the passwords. There's something too where some parents, because of a lack of, they don't understand. You're innocent. Sometimes they'll give their devices to the kids, and the kids are setting up accounts on the phones of the parents. So, for example, the kids on the phones of the parents will download TikTok, or they'll have an Instagram account. And the kid is like 5 years old, and this is from mom or dad giving them the phone. Here, habibi, like watch a movie or whatever it is. So we have to be careful with those things too. In a very smart, we had a situation where she was 4 years old, Jackie, 4 years old. عامله انستغرام اكونت وقاعده تحط صور وبتاع وبوستس ان ماما هي 4 years old. This is again, العيال very smart and very advanced. Like Bobby said too, we can try to put all these firewalls ahead with regulations. If they want to, they can go around them all. Okay, they're hackers.
Like there's another story I heard, like the parents grounded the child from like just hanging out with their friends and like talking to them through the phone. What did they do? They used a Google Doc on their school laptop to text back and forth. So kids are very smart.
Yeah. Oh, and if they have like an Xbox or PlayStation, they can set it so that the bandwidth of the internet, right? You can get a certain amount of internet that goes to your home, right? They can set it so that 99% of that internet goes to power their device so they don't get interrupted in their games. And you're trying to download something on your phone and it's not working. Believe it or not, they know how to do this. So the next part when we meet Dr. next Friday, if you want to bring your devices, we're going to have a few people that are a little technologically savvy, not me, I don't know too much, I don't know that, but they're going to help you put some of these controls in place, so be hands-on, more hands-on. But that's the plan for next week. So between now and then, play with the settings that you saw there. If you want to watch some videos, sometimes I'll show you videos about how to do certain things. That's okay too. And then next week, I'm willing, if you want to bring your tablets, if you want to bring your phones, we will have a few people that will try to work with me. We'd like to bring a few people. We'll probably can't make it next week, but maybe a few other people that are technologically savvy that can help you with some of these things. Whether it's an Android, or if it's a Samsung, or if it's an LG phone, or whatever it is, bring it, then they'll help you figure out to do some of these things.
I'm going to send the presentation with all the links to Lily and Chicken.
Probably and Steve. We're very happy to see you today. Outside the family. She pray. Before we pray, any question?
Yeah.